What would you do if someone tried to tear your family's legacy from your hands, claiming it as their own? On a crisp Montana morning, with the sun barely cresting over the jagged peaks, I stood on the porch of our family ranch, coffee in hand, unaware that a storm named Karen was brewing. The air smelled of pine and freedom, the kind of freedom my great-grandfather fought for when he carved this land from the wilderness a century ago. This was our home, our sanctuary, where my daughter Ellie, all of 19, was learning to love the earth as fiercely as I did. But Karen, with her manicured nails and a clipboard full of self-righteous rules, had other plans. The Thompson Ranch spanned 200 acres of rolling meadows and wildflower fields, where Karen flowers, those vibrant, stubborn blooms, dotted the landscape like bursts of defiance. They weren't just flowers. They were a symbol of resilience, thriving in the harshest soils. Ellie adored them, spending hours sketching their delicate petals for her art school portfolio. She'd inherited my stubborn streak and her mother's heart, a combination that made her unstoppable. But that morning, as I sipped my coffee, a white SUV roared up our dirt drive, kicking up dust like an angry bull. Karen stepped out, her heels sinking into the gravel, her lips pursed like she'd tasted something sour. "Mr. Thompson," she barked, not bothering with pleasantries. "I'm Karen Mitchell, president of the Silver Creek HOA. Your property is in violation of our covenants. You have 30 days to vacate, or we'll escalate this to legal action." Her voice was sharp, like a blade slicing through the morning calm. I nearly choked on my coffee. Vacate? This land had been ours since before HOAs were even a concept. I asked her what she was talking about, my voice steady but my heart pounding. She thrust a stack of papers at me, her eyes gleaming with smug certainty. "Your ranch falls within the expanded boundaries of Silver Creek. The HOA annexed this area last month. Your unapproved structures, livestock, and frankly unkempt appearance violate our standards. We're building a gated community here, and your rustic lifestyle doesn't fit." I stared at her, dumbfounded. Annexed? Our ranch? The land my family had poured blood and sweat into for generations? I told her she was mistaken, that our deed predated her HOA by decades. She smirked, saying, "Take it up with our lawyers. You're out of your depth, Mr. Thompson." Ellie overheard the exchange from the barn, her face pale as she clutched her sketchbook. She stormed over, her boots kicking up dust. "You can't just take our home," she shouted, her voice trembling with rage. Karen barely glanced at her. "Young lady, this isn't personal. It's progress. You'll thank us when you see the community center." Ellie's eyes burned with tears, but she stood her ground. I put a hand on her shoulder, promising we'd fight this. Karen drove off, leaving a cloud of dust and a sinking feeling in my gut. That night, I pored over the HOA's documents. They claimed a shady land survey had redrawn the boundaries, conveniently including our ranch in their jurisdiction. It reeked of greed. Silver Creek was a developer's pet project, backed by big money eyeing our land for luxury condos. I called our family lawyer, Tom Hargrove, a grizzled man who'd known my father. He confirmed my suspicions. The annexation was dubious, possibly illegal, but fighting it would be a battle. "They've got deep pockets, Jack," he warned. "But we've got truth on our side." The next morning, a stranger appeared at our Gadian older man, wiry and weathered, with eyes that seemed to hold a lifetime of secrets. He introduced himself as Amos, a retired surveyor who'd worked the county records for 40 years. He'd heard about our trouble through a friend at the courthouse and offered to help. "Something's fishy about that survey," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "I've seen this before, crooked developers pulling strings." His arrival felt like a lifeline, a twist of fate we hadn't expected. Ellie, ever trusting, offered him coffee, and he shared stories of land disputes he'd unraveled in his day. I wasn't sure why he cared so much, but his knowledge gave us hope. Amos spent days combing through old maps and deeds, his hands steady despite his age. He found discrepancies in the HOA's survey boundary lines that didn't match historical records, signatures that looked forged. "This is a land grab, plain and simple," he said, slamming a faded map on our kitchen table. Ellie, who'd been quiet since Karen's visit, lit up. "We can fight this, Dad. We have to." Her determination was infectious, and I felt a surge of pride. We weren't just fighting for land. We were fighting for her future, for the Karen flowers she loved, for the life we'd built. The lawsuit was filed within a week. Tom built a case around Amos's findings, arguing that the HOA's annexation was fraudulent. The courtroom was a circus. Karen sat with her lawyers, her face a mask of disdain, while developers in slick suits whispered behind her. Ellie and I sat together, her hand gripping mine. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Clara Holt, listened as Tom presented our evidence. Amos's maps, the forged signatures, and a bombshell emails between the HOA and the developer, uncovered by a whistleblower, detailing plans to seize our land for profit. The courtroom gasped. Karen's composure cracked, her eyes darting to her lawyer. Then came the twist that turned the tide. Amos took the stand, his voice steady as he revealed something none of us expected. He wasn't just a surveyor. He'd been a silent partner in the original Silver Creek development decades ago, before it turned corporate. "I helped draw those boundaries," he admitted, his voice heavy with guilt. "I left when I saw greed take over. This land, your land, was never part of the deal. I'm here to make it right." His confession stunned the room. Karen's lawyer scrambled, but the damage was done. Amos's testimony, backed by his unimpeachable credentials, shredded the HOA's case. The judge ruled in our favor 4 minutes later. The HOA's annexation was declared invalid, and they were ordered to pay $5 million in damages for fraud and emotional distress. The courtroom erupted. Ellie hugged me, tears streaming down her face, while Karen stormed out, her heels clicking furiously. We'd won. The ranch was ours. The Karen flowers would bloom another season. But victory came at a cost. That night, as we celebrated with neighbors who'd rallied behind us, Amos disappeared. We found a note on the kitchen table. "I'm sorry. I couldn't face you after what I helped start. Keep the land safe." His guilt, it seemed, ran deeper than we'd known. Ellie was devastated, her hero tarnished. She clutched her sketchbook, whispering, "He gave us the truth, but it cost him everything." I held her, my heart heavy. We'd saved the ranch, but at what price? Amos's sacrifice was a shadow we couldn't shake. The next spring, the Karen flowers bloomed brighter than ever, their petals a defiant red against the green. Ellie painted them, her brushstrokes fierce and tender, a tribute to the land and the man who'd helped save it. But the victory felt bittersweet. Karen's HOA crumbled, its leaders disgraced, but the fight had exposed a truth. Even the purest battles leave scars. Our ranch stood, but Amos's absence was a wound, a reminder that justice, however sweet, often comes with a bitter aftertaste. ND